Absolutely. Welcome to Live from the Battcave. This week, our special guest is Ryan Matter, singer-songwriter from New York State, up there plugging away, fighting a good fight, trying to make good ends meet, playing music and so on, right? Say hi to everybody, Ryan.
Hello.
I don't think you popped up. Let's see if we can make
He did.
pop up. Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, okay.
I can make him pop up. I just, I just don't always have to do all that. So anyway, and we're waiting for some of our other people. Jim Goodwin, Mario can't make it tonight. He had a prior commitment. Those of you who don't know, he's an ordained minister as well, and he's got a church commitment. So far be it for us to get in the way of that. It's an important thing in his life, as it is in so many other people's lives. And so we should also be hearing from Zak Batt. We're going to do some sports talk here for you here in a minute. The big weekend in the NFL, as everybody knows, the NFL draft was going on, and our team here, the Indianapolis Colts, had a really good draft. I know that Ryan, you're not, even though we're going to go through all this later as to where you're really from, but you're a Kansas City fan, right?
Yep, sure am.
And how did that draft go? I didn't follow their draft. Did you get some good
Honestly,
stuff?
I didn't even realize the draft happened until after it all happened and was said and done. Because I've been working for a buddy trying to finish up an apartment that I had to start from studs and do the whole. I had to drywall the whole apartment, and now I've been in the mud and take phase.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, right?
At least I know how to do it.
From what I heard listening and reading around, most of the pundits have given Kansas City a pretty good grade, whatever that means. I mean, let's go figure grades on their draft class. So,
well, let's face it, they've got a pretty good team to start with. They weren't hurting. We had a lot we had going on in Indy. We had to get corrected, but I would say Kansas City pretty much had a pretty good team going into it.
So, yeah, I don't think that there's too many people that are going to be able to contend with the Reed Holmes, with the Reed Mahomes duo, because they work so well together.
Look, I will tell you, just like I said in a previous show, I got nothing against Kansas City. They're kind of fun to play. Now, I don't want them to keep beating my Colts because, characteristically, Colts have usually beaten them. So that's got to be corrected. But other than that, I really kind of like them. And I've always been a fan of Reed. He's always run a really good offense, I thought, and fun teams. So we got some people signing on there. We got Lynn out there. How's it going, Lynn? I hope you're still there actually listening. Jeff Fish, what's up? Holly Evans, good to see you. Andrea, how's it going? Steve, Ed McCullough, how's it going, brother? What's that? Damn, I got gray. Yes, I did. What? Are you talking about? Maybe you're talking about Matt. You could be talking about Matt too. Lynn says hi, boys.
Hi, assist.
Hey, Chris, how's it going? Ed says Steelers. Are you still a Steelers fan, Ed? There's nothing wrong with that. You know what? I was a Steelers fan growing up. Hey, there we got somebody trying to log in. Hang on, I'm not paying attention and doing my job. But yeah, I was a Steelers fan growing up. We didn't have much in the Indianapolis area. Those that don't remember, you were a Steeler fan, or you were a Bears fan, or you were a Cowboys fan, or whatever.
Bengals.
Yeah, that was sorry. But the Bungles.
Yeah, really.
The Bengals.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Dana.
Well, hey, they made it all the way out there to get stomped by San Francisco in, was that 28?
You are right. So anyway, yeah, I'll give you that, Ed. We were Steelers fans as kids.
Mm-hmm.
And likely so somewhere around in my basement, there's probably something from the 1970 Steeler teams. Somewhere where it's not getting in the way of my Colts stuff. So, speaking of Colts, we've got our sports correspondent, Mr. Zak Batt, just logged in. Are you there with us, Zach? I can see you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Beautiful.
So we were just sitting here talking about some of the draft stuff. Ryan's a Chiefs fan. We're going to talk about why that's all the case here later when we talk to Ryan. Ryan, that's Zach. Zach, that's Ryan.
What's up, Ryan?
How's it going?
So since we're talking about the draft, Zach, what do you got for us, man? What any kind of review on how the Colts draft went?
I've got all kinds of things to say about the draft. Mostly good for once. I'm not upset with our draft. I thought our draft was actually a very good draft this year. Most of the analysts have us graded at an A or higher. I would go ahead and put us at probably an unbiased B+. I love the moves the Colts made with the draft. There was a lot of talk of us moving, out of that 34th overall pick, which, you see the Colts do a lot. You see them leave a lot of good talent on the board to move back and acquire more picks. That's a very Chris Ballard thing to do in this era. And I was a little nervous that with as much big names that were still on the board when our 34th pick came up, that they're gonna take a dive back again. And they didn't. They actually took Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC. Fantastic wide receiver, 6'4", 230 pounds, ran a 4.4, a 4.5. So quick, lanky, athletic guy, big hands, great at the point of attack. Loved watching his tape, actually. After they drafted him, I watched a little bit of it before we took him. Went back later and I've watched considerably more. It was actually really funny because USC played Utah, and that was our 3rd overall pick that we took, was Julian Blackmon, the safety from Utah. And in that game, Pittman burned Blackmon for 10 receptions and 232 yards. So that was a lot of fun to watch kind of both picks. Actually, I love watching Pittman's game because something stands out. The kid doesn't drop balls, which is something that the Colts had a serious problem with this year. Absolutely, I know, right? An absolutely ridiculous amount of balls hit the ground after hitting 2 hands of our wide receivers. And I guess that was hitting him in a bad place. So Pittman had 5 total drops on 5 total drops on over 140 targets.
I like those odds.
In his entire college career. Yeah, it's fantastic odds. If he can keep that rhythm going, even if he's doing half the production-wise, that'd still be leaps and bounds better than what we got last year. So I'm very much here for that pick. I've said for years that the Colts need to draft a big body wide receiver, and I thought they did a great job when they went out and picked Devin Funchess. Sadly, that didn't work. So
now you got Pittman and you got Patman as well. He's a big body receiver.
Desmond Patman out of Washington State, not nearly the production Michael Pittman had, where Pittman had 101 receptions for 1,000 and some yards the senior year. Patman was a little more modest. He had, what do my notes say here? 58 receptions for 726 yards, but he had 5 receptions of over 20-plus yards that went for touchdowns. So he's a big 4.4 speed, fantastic pick, I think, especially late round, 6th round of pick. A lot of fun to watch his tape too.
Sorry about that, Zach. I think they're going to turn him into a pseudo tight end.
I think so too. He's a very, very big body. He's got a lot more weight to him than
yes,
Pittman
he does.
A lot stronger base. He's, I think, the most football-ready body that we went and picked right now because, he doesn't have to put on any weight. Pittman needs to put on some weight. He's a twig. He's lanky, athletic.
Yes, he is.
But he goes across the middle. Everybody labels him as a possession receiver. But, I can't see him going across the middle to make a possession grab and getting squared up between 2 linebackers. I don't know if the kid's going to survive a hit like that. So
that kid's going to line up number 2. He's going to be on the outside opposite of T.Y. Hilton.
Hopefully it works out. I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah,
him on one side, T.Y. on the other, and Paris Campbell hopefully learning how to stay healthy to play some slot for us. That would be a pretty dynamic team, I think.
Paris Campbell or Reese Fountain, one of them's got to get up and go.
Somebody's
get
got
up or go, right?
I think the steal of the draft for the Colts was the running back out of Wisconsin. I really do. That kid If he learns from the 2 previous Wisconsin running backs that came out how not to play professional football, he will be amazing.
I think so too. He's actually one of 3 only players to ever have back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons in FBS history. And his freshman year, he went for 1,977 yards as well. So he was 23 yards short of going 3 in a row.
Yeah, but isn't he like number 6 or number 8 all-time FBS for total yardage?
Of course. In 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly got something going now. I mean, we've seen running backs come out of college who that were awesome in college, who could do nothing in the NFL. Richardson.
Yeah. If he learns how to block, if he can keep his body upright and fill the gap, read the blocks, read the blitz, I think the kid's got nothing but up in the NFL.
Well, you got to think that the Colts thought something about him to actually trade up to get him. So
I've got a quote actually about what they thought. There was actually Ballard went on and said that when they were coming for the 34th overall pick, he said that they were actually really eyeing Jonathan Taylor, but decided to go wide receiver to fill that position of need. And when he started to fall, it says right here, then all of a sudden it was 36, 37. I started talking, and actually Jim Irsay approached Chris Ballard and said, y'all been talking about this guy and how much you love him. You need to go get him. And at that point, they got aggressive and traded up those picks to go get him. So he went on to say that when you've got that kind of dynamic talent and they start to slide in the draft, you got to go get him.
Well, I think the last time that Jim Irsay himself got involved in a draft for a running back, the guy's name was Edgerrin James, and that turned out to be pretty all right. So I'm not ready to anoint this guy the next edge, but hopefully, Irsay's got the magic touch when it comes to finding the right running back in the right place. So
I definitely think that we might have succeeded with that this time. So I'm excited to see it. Especially with Marlon Mack having missed 6 games in the last 2 years and heading into a contract year, it's good to have, a 1-2 punch for this year. And then maybe, as you see teams not wanting to pay running backs nowadays because of injury, you see all the most recently top paid running backs having worse years after their contract. Colts seem to be taking an approach where you don't pay the running back, you draft the running back. In this case, I think that was a good decision, as we got one of the arguably top 20 guys in the entire draft. We went and picked him up, with the 9th pick in the 2nd round. So that's fantastic.
Well, on top of that, they went out and got a fullback for blocking. So I don't think they're going to have to rely on running backs for blocking now. And I think that's part of going to open up that play action part of the offense. We haven't had that option lately. Watching the Colts, their play action just hasn't existed.
I completely agree. Play action by virtue takes a moment to develop, and in doing so, it leaves your quarterback holding onto a ball and having to make a read after doing a fake, and then he has to drop back from there and make a read. And Jacoby Brissett just wasn't quick enough with his reads last year. And you put Phillip Rivers under center, a guy that knows how to read a defense and a split, and you got these 2 great running backs with a wonderful, fantastic fullback in Roosevelt Nix. And I mean, it's just
wishbone formation.
Wouldn't that be fun to see?
Slot eye right, jumbo left, tight end in motion, dive 70,
Multiple tight ends on the field, and Trey Burton and Jack Doyle, who can both block. I mean, they've really set this team up to be a thumping team, and which is a fantastic way to go in the playoffs, really. I mean, you get those late, games in the season. It's cold outside. No one wants to hit anymore. Everybody's a little banged up. You got a team that goes in there and runs the ball. And we saw the Titans do it this year. The best opportunity. And you got a veteran quarterback. I think, they said they were making a run this year, and that's why we went out and got Phillip Rivers. And I mean, the way the chips are falling right now, it's anybody's league. I don't see there's no number 1 team, I think, other than the Chiefs. There's very few, teams that are ahead of everybody else, and there are very few bad teams this year, except for, thank goodness, the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I think they'll be pretty terrible this year, not addressing pretty much any needs on their team in the draft. So,
how about the Green Bay Packers?
How about the Green Bay Packers, man? Oh, goodness. It's almost a slap in the face for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if you're an Aaron Rodgers fan, you've got to be absolutely upset. People like to liken it to when, the Green Bay Packers went out and took Aaron Rodgers when they had Brett Favre. But everybody's not taking into consideration that Brett Favre, the season before they did that, was openly contemplating retirement in front of the entire league. Aaron Rodgers has said that he wants to play well into his 40s.
Right.
He needs wide receivers. He needs running backs, and they go get a quarterback with their first round pick. It is a slap in the face to a man who's done so much for that franchise. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely laughable. And I feel bad for him, man, but I think, chips fall right, and he's going to play for a different team next year. I mean, I don't think he's going to be too happy.
No, I think that's the whole point. I really do. This new coach.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to like Rodgers.
No, they have not. They may talk like they're all happy together, but they're not. I don't.
No. Anybody that can read any bit of body language or, innuendo will tell you that they're not happy together.
Right.
It doesn't take a master's degree or a coaching background to find that one out, does it? No, I'm really excited about the Colts draft, guys. Julian Blackmon, as I said, he got torched by Pittman in that Utah versus USC game. But in the third round, getting a safety talent when our safety play has been, for lack of better words, lackluster, inconsistent, injured, I think was a good idea.
Quincy Wilson
coming off of an injury.
Oh,
Quincy Wilson, getting rid of him. Yeah, it was.
Well, that's not bad, but
no, that's what I mean. I was throwing him in there with problems
with the words lackluster and
yes,
Blackmon,
exactly.
Blackmon is a thumper. If he can get past the injury and doesn't end up being an injury-prone thumper like, say
Sanders.
We loved him, Bob Sanders.
We could have used different.
I still wouldn't say that to Bob Sanders' face. If you've ever seen him, he's still huge.
I think Blackmon, he's a thumper. He's a super athletic safety. Going back and watching that tape, he's not got the play recognition or the experience yet to play like a single high look. Watching him play single high against USC is where they got burnt, is because he just couldn't read the field from that position, which makes sense. He started out at cornerback, and they had two of their safeties go into the draft the year before. That he moved to safety, so he moved over to safety out of necessity. So the kid can play anywhere in the defensive secondary. He's speedy, he's rangy, he's good size, and he can hit. So he did show a little bit of some decision-making problems, which I guess are going to be kind of a Colts staple as we mature these younger players. Decision-making is going to be something we got to look into and we got to worry about. But other than that, he's definitely an athletic phenom. Provided he comes back from this season-ending knee injury, I think that he's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the field.
Yep.
Without a doubt. And that's, we could talk about Jacob Eason, but I don't think anybody needs to. We don't got to worry about him for another year at least. But I think he was for him to fall to the fourth round, kind of hard not to take him.
Well, hopefully, the knock on the kid is his work ethic and possibly that he doesn't take his craft seriously. That he may not be the guy you want in the locker room, but hopefully, Rivers is is known for his work ethic. So hopefully, backing up Rivers and seeing that, and everybody says Brissett's a great locker room guy. So maybe by working with both of those guys, things will be good for Jacob Eason moving forward, because he's got a cannon now. So did Jeff George, right? So did Ryan Leaf, So if he can learn where those idiots didn't. Sorry, Jeff George. I know people here in Indiana and Indianapolis know him personally, but look, Jeff, you got to know that you screwed it up yourself, right? I have all the respect in the world for your talent, but it is what it is, right? So, but
definitely decision making and maturity are going to be his biggest issues. But he definitely is the prototypical quarterback as far as size, arm talent goes. You just gotta. I think he's in the best situation he can be right now, with being able to sit behind Phillip Rivers and have a great locker room presence like Kobe Brissett, talk to him and teach him. I don't think there's a better team he could have gone to personally for himself and to build himself as a player. So we're lucky to have him, especially with Frank Reich being a quarterback coach through and through. I think you give this kid a year or two, and he could be good. He could also be terrible. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Low risk, high reward in the fourth round.
Amen.
Yeah. So I like it.
There were drafts having us take him with our second round pick. So
Yep.
I'm glad that we were able to get him in the 4th. That's fantastic.
Yep. I was so convinced. I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh, they're going to take a quarterback right here. It should be Easton." And she looked at me she goes, "Isn't that the guy?" I said, "Yep, that's who I thought they'd take in the second pick." Yeah, so yeah. So that worked. I was enjoying that quite well. So
It came out good. Came out well. Cool.
I'm just glad we didn't take Jake Fromm, man.
me too.
Yeah, we sat there together watching the draft, and I was like, so if you remember the old commercial, I'm sure you will, Matt. I was looking at Zach. I was like a great backup, Jake Fromm is there. Because Zach was like, this dude could only ever be a backup.
I don't
Yeah.
think he can be in this part.
Every time
You
the
don't hang
Colts
your
pick
hat
would
with
come
Fromm.
up, I would sing that to him. He was like, stop it, dude. I mean, he was like standing up at the TV, like looking like Beavis and Butthead, No.
All right. Well, Kevin, you pay me to make sure this show goes on straight lines, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Chaille to the program. Andy, it's good to see you. I'd like to remind everybody, Ryan Matter is our special guest,
It's
and
coming up right next, yeah.
we are getting ready to talk to him.
Am I coming through okay?
You are coming through okay.
5 by 5, brother.
We glad that you could make it. Long day at the golf course?
Not again. We won't go there.
Okay, we won't go there. That's all good. We'll talk later. We'll talk offline. Well, as Matt said, let's bring on our guest who's been sitting here patiently waiting, listening to Colts stuff, although he is a Kansas City fan. And even though he's not actually living in Kansas City and hasn't lived in Kansas City for a long time, but definitely has Kansas City and Midwestern roots, singer-songwriter from New York, Ryan Matter. How's it going, Ryan?
Woo!
What's happening? How's everybody doing tonight?
You need to talk louder so it can pick you up on the camera.
Is that what needs to happen? Is it still not picking me up?
There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, geez, Louise, maybe I need to get a microphone put in this thing. No, doing well. How about everybody else?
Like the shirt, man.
Oh, thanks.
I'm gonna pin the camera on you so everybody can see you. Everybody's used to seeing me, so
Much
I
to their
can't tell the
chagrin.
difference. All I see is me in the small corner down here, and I'm like, it doesn't ever change for me, so I can't tell what's going on.
there's like a thing in the bottom of your screen that allows you to change the screen, and what we do is we let it run on its own, where it's whoever's talking usually gets the camera, but every now and then it gets it wrong. So,
Ryan, you look marvelous, darling.
Oh, well, thank you.
So how's it going up in New York? I mean, been kind of
Miserable.
Crazy. Yeah.
Right.
It's for lack of a better way of saying it, it's a shit show. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Do what?
I said you guys got hit pretty hard with all of this.
Yeah, I mean, in New York City, I mean, that's 4 hours away from me. So
you're upstate, right?
yeah, I mean, center state. I'm, in between Albany and Syracuse.
Okay.
But,
I know where that's at.
Yeah, I'm like dead smack in the middle. It takes me an hour and a half to go to one and an hour and a half to go to the other.
Yeah, I do business in Albany every now and then. One of these days when I'm up there, I'm going to have to give you a call.
Shit, let me know. I play out that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Well,
Right.
hopefully that's going to change here soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, from what they're talking, I mean, all our big, I pretty much have, everything is now gone from when it was, March 14th or whatever it was, to everything I had on the books, even through September, October. They finally they said, we don't know what we're going to do, so just go ahead and cancel it. And when they let us open, we'll go back to booking and we'll see what we can do. And so it's been a nice, not so nice furlough.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've got a lot of that going around here too.
It's everywhere. And it's out of everybody's control. I understand it. I don't want anybody getting sick. I don't want anybody getting it. But at some point, our immune systems are going to take a beating from this. And I don't know that it's going to be something we can get back from as easily as what they're making it out to be.
Well, hopefully so. That's all. That's all we can really do. Let's stop talking about the bad stuff and let's talk about the good stuff. So, I've known you for a long time. I've known you. I've known you since you were a little bit younger. Not to date myself here, but so I've known you since before you played. We'll say that. And so let's kind of take it from that. Let's concentrate back on we were talking about your love for Kansas City. So why don't you let everybody know kind of the path that you've taken to where you're at right now, where you started. And listen, people, if you were to look at some of the stuff on his website, you'll see California or something like that, or you'll see some pictures of him in Texas and all that. And I think sometimes he thinks he's a Cali guy, but he's not really a Cali guy. He's a Midwestern guy who went out there. And I say that because I'm a Midwestern guy and we have the same heart. So I know he's at heart, he's a Midwestern guy. But go ahead and tell everybody, a little bit about your travels and your travails.
Well, let's see. I was born in California. So yeah, I technically would be from California. But yeah, no, we traveled a lot. We moved around a lot. But went from California, we moved to Indiana when I was Jesus, how old was I? 7 or 8, maybe. And then mom and you guys all had bands and stuff, and I never once thought I'd ever be in music. I always thought I'd do something else, but and then
I thought for sure you were going to do karate.
Hey, I was pretty good at that
because I watched that one John Claude Van Damme show with you like 1,000 times.
Hey,
Kevin, let's watch that show. Double was that it?
It was double impact.
Double impact, that's it.
Double impact.
Yeah, we watched that together 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, that one in Bloodsport.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but and then we went back to LA, and then I got into playing drums. I actually started it playing Mom's old kit, and I'd be in there banging around on them and stuff, and Mom would be like, "Jesus, Ryan, you're gonna tear my heads up. Then I gotta replace them. Like, at least let me teach you a couple of things, so that way you don't destroy my kit before I have to rehearse with the band and play gigs." And then I switched to guitar when I was 13, and haven't looked back since.
What's your favorite guitar, man?
My favorite that I own or that I want?
That you own.
That I own, I would have to say it is my 59 reissue, Gibson Les Paul.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Well, there's nothing wrong with good Les Paul.
Yeah, I got a 59 reissue, a 76. I got a knockoff 76 custom, and then I have a gold top with a Bixby that has Fat Cat Seymour Duncans in it.
Ow.
Yeah, I'm a Les Paul guy through and through.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's always funny to me. I tried to play a couple of tellies. For a while, I was running around with a couple of Strats, and it just never was the right guitar for me. And then I ended up coming up on the 76 knockoff, which it's really a Gibson. It was shipped over here from China, and it says Gibson on it. And I mean, if you really look at it, there's a couple nuances you can tell it's not real. And then I got that one from my dad, who got it from my uncle in Oklahoma, and that kind of started the craze, and I started swapping pickups in and out of it, and found that I got along with the Les Paul better than I did the Strats or the Tellys.
That's great.
Well, again, nothing wrong with that. I was playing my Les Paul last night, thinking about how much I enjoyed playing it, and everybody knows me. I'm a Strat guy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I love me my Les Paul. There's no question about that. It's one of my favorite guitars. So tell us about some of your music, man. I know you've been at this for a while. I actually, hang on, let me see if I can do this again. Technology sometimes eludes me. I actually need a producer to handle all this stuff for me. But let me see if I can do this right quick. I did actually go do a screen capture somewhere here. So see if that will work. There we go. I'm at it. How you like that?
Ta-da!
There he
Very
is.
cool.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
So
Very
so,
cool.
So tell us about it. Tell us about what you're up to, what you've been doing, and what kind of feel about what your music is about, where it comes from. Anything you'd like to tell us?
Well, I mean, most of it is my own personal life experience, to be honest. You know, some of the songs are, you know, like I got one that I wrote. It's called "The Truth Behind Me," and every line of that song is something else that I lived through, or something I did. One of the title track from the first studio album, "Modern Outlaw." I actually wrote that track in Austin, Texas. I was playing a little bar in South Austin, and a guy, drunk, it's a matinee show. I went on it at 3:00 in the afternoon. The drunk gets pissed off at me because I didn't know any Merle Haggard, and
Oh,
decided to throw a full beer bottle at me from the bar to the stage.
Well, let me tell you, that's happened to all of us at one point or another.
Oh yeah. It's nothing. You know, it is what it is. I've had drinks thrown at me. I've had beers thrown at me. I've had jealous ex-husbands try to jump over the rails.
Oopsie.
Oh my.
I know nothing of this.
Back to good old days.
Nothing.
No, you know, most of it is there's an element of truth to pretty much every song I've ever written. You know, at some point or another, I witnessed it or I lived through it, and you know, for some reason, people have connected to some of the stuff, and it's turned into a full-time job. You know, I started a label this year, and you know, a little independent label. I just went ahead and I decided that why continue to chase big contracts that are never going to exist? And I, you know, kind of started making a little bit of money on CD sales from online streaming and stuff. And I decided that, well, I'd rather have some kind of entity. So I decided to start a label. And on January 3rd of 2020, I started Doesn't Matter Records. And I actually just did my first release last April 17th. I put out a 5-song EP that we recorded actually live on Facebook.
Very cool.
We put the band in the garage and recorded 4 of the 5 songs that are on the album. We recorded live on Facebook, and then I had them going from my board to my mixer.
Quarantine sessions?
The quarantine sessions. Yep, there it is.
Hey, there you go.
And,
You didn't think I'd be on top of that one, did you?
Hey, never know.
So, gotta dig
But
it,
yeah,
man.
you know, it's a labor of love. I wouldn't. I never in a million years thought that I would ever say I'm a professional musician, and now here I am, and I'm 100% a professional musician. It's what puts the food on the table.
Yeah, and hopefully you can get back to it soon. So how do people pick up your EP? Is it available out there somewhere on one of the music
It's on all of them.
websites? So like iTunes and
iTunes,
Google
Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. The only thing I didn't do, I haven't gotten into the whole CD realm because one, people don't tend to buy, like, people still buy CDs, but they don't tend to buy them from like local artists as much.
Right.
As opposed to, I don't know how many times I get people at shows and they're like, hey, where do I find that? And I'm like, well, do you have Spotify? Yeah. And they'll go right to their Spotify. They hit the follow button and poof. And the next thing I know, they're listening to it all the time. And
yeah, it's a whole lot easier too. Yeah, absolutely. I've done that. Even my uncle, and you know, my uncle Tim plays bass, and you know, he's playing with a country artist here in central Indiana, and they released an album, or well, a few songs anyway. And he said, yeah, I got the song that's out there. And it was like, yeah, all right, dude, you know, over there, 99 cents or whatever it was, and bam, you know. So what do we look for? What's the title? When we Google this, what's the best way to get to your material? What should we look for?
Ryan Matter.
Just Ryan Matter.
It's just Ryan Matter. Actually, it's and it's going to be that way. It started out. At first, I never wanted to use my name. I never wanted to be the artist that, you know, was the Ryan Matter band or the Ryan Matter or the Ryan Matter show. And originally, it was supposed to be Two-Lane Blacktop.
Oh yeah.
And I finally had started to gain like name recognition from playing solo acoustic in Texas. And everywhere that I was billed, it was Ryan Matter, Ryan Matter, Ryan Matter. And so finally I did a show, and we did it as Two-Lane Blacktop, and I'd put a band together. We went out, we were Two-Lane Blacktop, and we flopped. And everybody was like, what happened? What happened? You pull so many people in here solo acoustic. What happened? What happened? I'm like, I don't really know. And then I found out that even though I was promoting everything on the Two-Lane Blacktop Facebook page, everybody only knew me as Ryan Matter because I'd been playing out for 2 years as Ryan Matter. So the name recognition of Two-Lane Blacktop didn't click with Ryan Matter because it wasn't Ryan Matter. And so I ended up switching everything over and just started going by my name and just kept plugging away, booking shows, playing as much as I could. And, you know, last year was a great year. I was really hoping to capitalize on it this year, and it was off to a great start. Played 289 dates last year.
Wow.
For 2019. Woo! And yeah, it was.
Remember those days?
Yeah, you know, and I was basically living in my truck every day.
But that's cool that you're doing it and you're supporting the music that you write. I know you do cover songs because I've heard some stuff that's really, you know, really intrigued me. I don't know, what did I catch you doing? Like, was it some Zeppelin or some Hendrix or something like that? I caught it on some video from a show you were doing, and I was like, wow, I didn't know he did that. That was pretty good. And I just sat there and just watched, you know. So I was like, I do.
It's kind of funny because I do a broad range of covers actually. Like we'll do, you know, we'll do like a blues vamp on Crossroads, more like Clapton's version with like his solo version where he was at the Paramount, and like it's very slow blues jammy, you know, and then out of nowhere we'll get into like Tush, but we'll do it like as if like Social Distortion was doing it, so it's revved up even harder than ZZ Top is doing it, and then we'll turn around and do like a Waylon Jennings cover, and you know, and then play, you know, like my original stuff all the time too, and but yeah, no, actually the Zeppelin thing started out as a joke. Somebody had heard me doing a bunch of country, and we went out for an after party and they were doing karaoke. And, you know, there may or may not have been some shots involved, and there may or may not have been a dare involved. Somebody telling me, I bet you can't do this. And I said, I bet I can. And they said, I bet $100 and 2 shots. You can't. And I said, pull out your money. And the next thing I know, I'm on stage singing Led Zeppelin. And then somebody asked me if I could play it on guitar, and it's kind of become a staple in some of my sets.
Yeah, be careful about some of those bets. Somebody bet me one time that I couldn't play a song. He was like, keep your hands to yourself. And of course we didn't want to play it. And I was like, yeah, sure. Right. Whatever. And the guy says, yeah, well, I bet you can't play it. And I said, I bet I could play it standing on my head. And he came up and threw $100 down. And so I went and leaned up against the wall on my head and played Keep Your Hands to Yourself, holding my guitar up, which that was probably the most difficult thing. Yeah. But let me tell you, now I compressed my neck, and now at 53, I'm not too happy that I took that bet. But he was impressed that I could follow through with what I said.
I took one of those. I took a bet like that where I could play one of my whole songs behind my head.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was on stage. The hardest part about that is when you pull your guitar and you're trying to sing in the microphone, you keep bouncing your face off of the mic. I ended up with a bloody lip because I ended up ricocheting my mouth off of the microphone and I busted my bottom lip open.
It sounds like you learned everything the hard way. It's never happened to me, but I have heard about it.
I've never tried to sing and play my guitar behind my back or behind my head. So
Yeah,
I've learned something from you.
It was actually hilarious because it was, the whole time I'm sitting there playing the chords, just. But every time I would change the chord, I would end up like when I was singing the melody line, I would end up bouncing my face off of the microphone. And by the end of the song, I got through the whole song, and it was like right at the very end of the song, and I ended up like hitting it, and I pushed my face right into the microphone and caught it, and ripped my bottom lip wide open. Oh, it was hilarious. That was the last time I decided that I would try and top somebody while trying to be a performer.
You still got it in you, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Wait till you fry your lips like bacon because there's a.
Oh man,
power.
I was wanting to tell that story. I was wanting to tell everybody about how the time I watched lightning jump from the microphone to Kevin's mouth.
Lived it.
Oh.
I was in a shitty. I got basically monsooned in Fredericksburg, Texas, in 2011. I was playing a show at a pizza joint in Fredericksburg, Texas, and they didn't have a solid ground on the electrical on the stage area, and my monitor was getting so full of water from the stage, I actually had to stop, flip the monitor over, dump the water out, and lay it back down. And everybody's like, "Aren't you gonna stop? Aren't you gonna stop?" I said, "I'll stop when I get shocked." And I went to sing the next song, and the arcs were coming 6 inches off the microphone.
Yep. That'll stop you.
Yeah, I've lived it, Kevin. I know your pain.
Yes, that will stop you.
Oh my!
That stopped me. I'll tell you that. I turned around. The great thing about it was it shocked me through the microphone, and I heard this hum out of my amplifier, and I reached around to turn off my amplifier, and it had a metal face, right? So I reached across, and the arc shot out of my body into my amplifier.
Yep.
Ouch.
And fried my amp.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah. That gig was over. And
that was the same gig I dropped a table on my hand.
Well, you dropped a table on your hand all the time.
Not like that.
No. If you weren't playing taped up and injured, then you weren't even really there. To be alive is to be injured is to be alive for you, Matt.
Me and my big mouth.
We carry a roll of duct tape not for taping down cables or anything, but to tape up Matt's hand.
Yeah.
Sometimes tape the drums to his hand. I think I broke a
you might
finger.
want to switch to Gorilla Tape that lasts longer.
Yeah. Well, back then they didn't have that.
I
Nope.
understand.
No, they did not.
500
mile-an-hour duct tape, baby.
Yep.
Hey, I know it well. I've never had to put that on a race car or anything.
He'd be sitting there and he'd be like, grabbing his hand like, oh, and I'd just toss him the damn duct tape. Stop your whining. Stop your crying, Andy.
Never been able to get a callus on my hand, and I just rip my hands open constantly.
Yeah.
Never could figure out why. And to this day, doesn't matter. I don't even know how many times a year I play, and still can't build up calluses. So
that's weird, dude.
It is. And I would tear those suckers open every night. And that'd be what it was for. Yep. Give me the tape. I got to cover up my busted up blisters. So.
Well, Ryan, I would like to introduce you to, or invite you to play a song. Now, you got to understand that sometimes with Zoom, there's like this compression thing that goes. So sometimes if you back away from your microphone a little bit and let the ambient sound of the room for your guitar, it'll sound a little bit better. But when on the playback,
can't keep up.
Yeah. Sometimes I got to tell people on the playback it might sound a little weird, but we'd love for you to play a song if you'd like.
Oh, sure. Why not? I don't even know which one I would play.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was looking at what we got here. I'm going to tell you that it's about a 90% rock and roll or pop music kind of crowd. So,
Good. Play something they don't know.
so play something deep in country because they're going to love that.
Oh, let's try this one. I've been working on I've been rearranging one of my older songs to fit the more I guess you would say style of what the band is headed to.
Oh,
And
cool.
let's see if I can screw this up. This old train been with this old train seems like a train. This old train leaving out of Dodge and it's coming big. This old train's been to Houston, and you know I've seen San Antonio. This old train's leaving out of Dodge and it's coming home. Now I'm leaving out of California, steam rolling in Arizona. I'm gonna catch you Santa Fe right in San Antonio. Let the law doesn't catch me at the border. Don't be in Houston by the morning. Catch another Santa Fe right off the way back home. Oh, the track is there. Junction is gone. This old train keeps rolling right on down the line. Went on out to California, where I crossed the border a couple of times. Then on down to Indiana, where I crossed the Mason-Dixon line. This old train keeps rolling right on down the line. Now I'm leaving out of California, steamrolling into Arizona. I'm gonna catch you Santa Fe right into San Antonio. With the law doesn't catch me at the border, no being Houston by the morning. Catch another Santa Fe right on the way back home. The track is there, junction's gone. Yeah, the track is there, junction's gone. Woo!
Right on.
dude. Right on. Like I said, that was clamping
Nice.
down on your guitar a little bit, but we could hear the song.
Yep.
I thought it sounded really cool, and I think I've heard that song before, and I like that. I like this style better. We did have a comment here on the screen. Stacy Willis says that she really liked that song. She thinks
Awesome. Well, thank you.
so. Stacy Willis Cutler. I'm sorry, forgot her other last name. I know her. She's come watch our band play. Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here playing a shuffle right along with you, man.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
that was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, actually, when I first tracked it, I tracked it a little bit more like country swing feel, and then like we stopped playing it live because it just didn't fit anywhere in the set list. And my bass player kept telling me, he's like, dude, change the key, rock it up a little bit, and it'll fit right back into this band because it's a good tune. I'm like, okay. So, only been playing guitar for 20 years. Could never figure out how to change a key of a song that I, just couldn't figure it out. So then I start practicing again, and then I'm like, oh, that was easy. How come I didn't do that 10 years ago?
Well, you know what? Don't let them know this, but sometimes bass players and drummers, sometimes they have a good idea.
Sometimes.
But don't let them know that. Don't let them know we said that.
You just can't tell them to their face.
I know. Unfortunately, one of these guys is a drummer and the other one's a bass player.
This just in.
I just keep seeing you, so I can't tell.
The word's out now, bub.
This just in. The conspiracy is real. Guitar players look down on the rhythm section.
Well, no, usually the drummers look down on us. I got that little extra stage back there, that riser.
Only if they've got a good guy producing the show to give them a riser to sit on.
Well, maybe not so much in that case. I don't know what you're talking about.
I will say it all day long. A drummer is, at the end of the day, I don't care how good of a guitar player anybody is. If the drummer can't hold a tune, the drummer can make a great band terrible, or a drummer can make a bad band great.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Hey, I've been the guy making them terrible, so I.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Zipping of the lippity, Kevin.
Bigwigs say, terrible thing happened when drum solo ends.
bass solo. That's right.
Yep. Why do you think I became a lead singer as well? And they still put somebody right in front of me. Come on now.
Well,
that's because you're sitting down. Like that's not their fault.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, stand up and play. Stand up like a man and play like the rest of us do. Yeah.
Right.
See how you are?
Oh man, I am not Slim Jim Kelton or Slim Jim Phantom.
Slim Jim Phantom?
Yeah.
You lazy bastard sitting back there on the drum throne. They even call it a throne. It tells you what they think of themselves. It's just a stool.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a little stool. Sometimes it's like a recliner. Like if you're Jon Stewart, you got a recliner. Right? but they call it a throne, right? We don't have guitar thrones. We don't have guitar crowns. I
can't say anything, Kevin.
You got one there. Well, it's just a stool for you, right? Because you're a guitar player. We call it a stool. We're gonna go sit up there on that stool or that bar stool or whatever. Because we're doing an acoustic thing.
This is my throne. Because I do have 2 kids. I do. I got the what do I got now? I got a PDP 805. So the Birch kit with a 24-inch kick drum, and I've got a D-drum Diablo kit that's for maple. I want to say it's maple with a deep shell 2220 kick. And,
wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Cannon.
Yeah.
It is a Cannon.
Some Peter Criss stuff going on there, man.
Mine's 22 by 18, so yes, I understand. I've got my other kit, my jazz kit. It's a 20 by 16. Yeah. And but that's what I like about these. I've got all the different size. I can go from my Rush kit down to a 3-piece, 4-piece if I want to, and have whatever size toms I need to work with. So I got a lot of versatility.
It's a never-ending rabbit hole of gear.
Well, I think you just went into the shield, as Matt would call it. Your sound to me on my end sounds really tinny. Like all of a sudden, the signal must be,
Sounds like a
modulating.
Actually,
can you hear?
Yeah.
Does he sound all right to you guys?
No.
What about now?
Still the
Sounds
same.
like you blew the woofer. All we're getting is mid-range and tweet.
Yeah, pretty much. It's probably just your signal there. That's okay. We're running up against the end of the show anyhow. So
It's usually how it works. We all start having a good time. We want to keep going, and somebody says it's time to be up against the clock.
What are you talking about? That never happens.
We keep swearing we're going to keep this at right around an hour or so, and we've been so we've had like one show where we've done that, and then
Really?
yeah.
Hey, they haven't pulled our time slot, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, hell, they at least let us on now. Seemed like to begin with we couldn't get on.
True.
I guess we had to wait for somebody else to get canceled.
Yeah, I guess so. Sounds like he's talking in a can. Somebody said, "Yeah, it does, doesn't it?" He was perfectly there and full, and then all of a sudden, kind of went away. That's weird. But
we need one of those camera filters that makes it look like he's talking to a can with a string attached to it.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, that's the internet these days. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out if I could make something happen real quick.
You just Yeah, act like you need one of like those old 1930 radio microphones. You know, video killed the radio star.
I was just kidding. Do you remember when the wireless? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do.
Ryan, we'd like to say thank you for coming, man. It's been great. And you can stick around for a minute. We're going to end the show here in a second. When we go offline, if you want to talk a few more minutes, we can. But definitely want to thank you. And we're going to Google Ryan Matter, everybody. Matter. Right?
For those of you with class, you can use Bing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. See, he's a drummer. He's weird. For the rest of the world, use Google. And look up Ryan Matter and go get the Quarantine Sessions 5-song EP and check out some of the stuff. Is that now that song you played for us? Is that on there at all?
The old version is.
The old version. We gotta get that new version recorded, Ryan.
I know. I gotta get the guys back together. Everybody's kind of been in him-ha land. They don't want to work anymore because everybody's like, no, I'm supposed to stay home.
Yeah, no. You're good like that. That's the same way with us. All right, the guys in our band are constantly saying, "Hey, come on, man, let's get together. Hey, man, let's get together." And I'm like, "Yeah, we've come this far without getting infected. I'm not going to take a chance and bring all you over here to my house." So, but I feel you. But you got to get that one. You got to get that one going, man. That was pretty slick. Let us know. Shoot me an email or a text or whatever. Let us know when that one's available. And we're still here doing the show. We'll definitely plug it for you.
Awesome. No, thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'm going to see what I can do here in the next couple of weeks and see if I can get a track so I can get it at least released as a single. But yeah, it's got a version out already, but it's not that version.
Yeah, no, that's definitely cool. I'm sure the other version's good, but that was really cool. So, all right, everybody, that's Ryan Matter, singer-songwriter from New York State, via Texas, via Indiana, via California, everywhere, every point on the continental United States, it seems like. So everybody definitely Google this stuff and check him out. Thanks for being on, Ryan.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Anytime at all. Like I said, let us know anytime you get something released, let me know. And if we're doing the show, we'll definitely plug you for sure. Andy Chaille.
Yes.
No golf today? No bueno?
I got my hat handed to me while I was out there, though.
Oh, well, that's fun to know. Anyway, but hey, it is what it is. You got to enjoy the sun, right?
No, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
It's beautiful, man. It's just beautiful.
Having myself, I got killed out there.
Well, it happens to the best of people. I hear that happens all the time. Happens to everybody, Andy, even you.
They beat me up.
in this case, even you. So, you got a song for us to close out the show?
I think I can manage. Let's see. Don't mean I'm kind. Don't mean I'm blind. I just think of you. Think of lying in bed. Shouldn't have said. Here it is. so cruel, not being such a fool. Whatever it's done, I just can't recall. Doesn't matter at all. It's so clear, it will make you from the beginning. Yeah. You see it oh clear, you were meant to be from the beginning, from the beginning, yeah, yeah. From the beginning, from the beginning.
Dynamite as always, Andy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Hey, thank you. All right, gang, that's the end of it. That's another week in the books. I want to thank again Ryan Matter for coming on. Don't forget to check him out. Just Google him. Check out the quarantine sessions. For Andy Chaille, Matt McLaughlin, or Doc, as you see him printed up there. Zak Batt on sports. I'm Kevin Batt, live at the Battcave. All of you be safe and be well.
Be safe out there. See you next time.
See you next week.
Right on.